All right. So for everybody's information, again, what I start with at the beginning of all these trainings is just to reiterate that the phone company name is Pantera. The product name is Streams that we're going to be talking about here today. So Pantera and Streams is the new phone system, right? Again, the way this works is over the internet. All of the phones are connected over the internet, and Farmington has purchased these seats or service plans. These are like bundles of features that allow us to build a B. Coleman user 1013. Right? We have B. Bayless 2401. Get down here, we have C. Moore 1100. So the user ID and the extension are one and the same. They're synonymous with each other. So what that means is we take that user, we take that extension, and we can sign into our Streams product. So again, this is an application that should be installed on your work computer. If you have a work cell phone or a tablet, it could also be installed there. To install it on a smartphone or a tablet, you're going to search for Pantera with 2 R's and Streams in the App Store or in the iOS App Store or Google Play. Should be the only app that comes up. It'll be called Streams UC, which stands for Unified Communications. If you want to install this on a computer, again, it should, in theory, already be installed on your work computers, I believe, by Ryan and the administrators. You can always go to streams.us. It will attempt to download and install the application. You can also download it here as well. Once you've installed the application, whether you're on a tablet, a smartphone, or a computer, you're going to sign in with your extension, your user. So again, for example, it would be like C. Moore at Farmington Mo. There is no .gov or anything like that after it. This is the account name on our service. And then I'm designating that I want to sign in with the C. Moore extension or the C. Moore user. So again, there is no .com or .gov or anything after this. This is not an email. This is your extension. This is your user on our service. By default, all of the passwords were set up with the same value, which is welcome with a capital W, the number 1, and an exclamation point at the end. I know this is in the username field. I just wanted to give you a visual of what the password looks like here. You can use the forgot password link, and it should send you an email, and you can jump through those hoops, or you can reset the password in the background on your settings for your extension here once you get signed in. So for my example here, I'm going to go ahead and sign in on my afarver.demo account with my user A extension. And when you try to sign in on a web page, it's going to try to install the application for you. In dire need, we do not recommend this. It's not technically supported, but we do have the ability to sign in through a browser. So if you were on vacation or something and someone contacted you and you had to get into the system, you could always go to like a hotel computer or a family member's laptop or computer and try to sign in. If that were the case, you would need to enter in a registration code. So you do also need to sign into your work email. Your work email will then have an email that shows up from our system, and it will have that registration code available to you. Take that code for this 2-part authentication. You put it into this system here. And then if this is a new computer that you're always going to be using for work, you may need to register the device down here. If this is, again, like a family member's computer or a hotel or something where you're just using this for one time and you will not be using it in the future, you would register the device for only this session. So then it wouldn't be used again in the future. No one could sign in as you without getting this code again. So I'm going to go ahead and register this device. This is my work computer, and it's going to sign me into our Streams application here. It's going to take us on a little bit of a tour, which I'm going to go through and kind of explain. Before I do that, are there any questions regarding the signing in, the username and password structure, the application install, or anything of that nature? Don't forget you may be muted, so if I move on too quickly, go ahead and unmute yourself and let me know what your question may be. The next thing here is going to be when you sign in, there are multiple different features baked into this service or this Streams product. One of those is a software phone. So you can make calls from your computer, from your tablet, from your cell phone, and it would look like you're calling from the office. So we call it a soft phone for short, or a software phone. Again, you're signed in with your extension, your user, so that's where you're making a call from, is from your extension in this scenario. The next thing here is this is an instant messenger, so you can talk to each other one-to-one. You can drag and drop documents and share them with each other across this platform. Additionally, you can create teams, which would be like group chats or message boards. So that Teams environment that we call it here, it's going to be the Streams, Teams, and again, those are more so just group chats. Whether you're on a tablet, a smartphone, or a desktop, you're going to get these icons. These are really where you control the body of the page and what you're looking at and what you're doing inside of this application. So you're going to have the little clock icon, and that's your recents. So you're going to have your extension's recent calls, your extension's recent messages, your extension's voicemails, and if you were to start using our digital fax profile, that's where you would see your recent faxes. We have two little guys here. That's going to be your contacts. So who's who at the city of Farmington? What is their extension? What's their direct number? And then if you've created any of those teams or those group chats, that's where you would find those as well. You're not going to have a unified live monitor. Again, this is one of my demo accounts that you're looking at here. This would be for a call center environment. The SmartBox file sync and sharing. So as of right now, it is enabled. Each of your users do get 2 gigs of storage, so you can upload documents to our service, and you could share them with each other throughout our service. Or if it's like too large of a video to email to someone, let's say it was that 2 gig size, you wouldn't want to necessarily email that. You could upload it to our service, create a link, and then you could email that link to the recipient. They could then click on the link and download that video to see it from their side. The Connect, these 3 little guys, this icon is going to be what we're on here today. Video calls, screen sharing, audio bridging. So it is going to be called Connect on our service, but those are the 3 major functions. Again, video calls, screen share, and audio bridge. Circling back here just a little bit, when you're on the clock icon, when you're on this recents, that is going to be the only time that you get the other filters below. So you have your recent calls. Again, you're signed in with your extension, so these are your calls. Your messages, so who have you talked to on our system? Who have you dragged and dropped files to or asked for help? Your voicemails for your extension, your mailbox, and then again, if you start using our digital faxes, you would have the ability to send and receive faxes from this fax tab. Up in the top right-hand corner, you can upload a picture. So I'm going to move back here. I'm going to talk a little bit about the phone services. I'm going to talk a little bit about the instant messaging, and then I'm going to move on to some of the file sharing and the Connect stuff. So to begin with, for the software phone, you do have the ability to use a dial pad in your mouse. You have the ability to use your keyboard on your computer as well. When you hit enter or you click on this green phone button, it is going to ask you, where do you typed in this number, so where do you want to call it from? Do you want to call it from your software phone? So that would be the computer that I'm sitting at right now. Do you want to call it from your IP phone 1? That would be your desk phone at the office. So anytime you see IP phone 1, that is referring to the Yealink desk phone at the office. And then PSTN is an older tool. Back before we had this soft phone, you used to send your call to your cell phone number, so you'd have to type in your cell phone number here. It would call your cell phone, and then when you pick up, it would start to call this number above. It would look like you're calling from the office, so it would use your office's caller ID. So more often than not, our customers are choosing these top 2 options. Do you want to call from the software itself or from the physical desk phone? Even if you tell it to call out from the physical desk phone here. So I'm calling on my IP phone 1. It is ringing. Once that call is answered, then you're going to have active call controls. So the call is active, it's connected, and then we can hang that call up. We can put that call on hold. We can do a microphone mute. You could do the blind transfer function. So if you wanted to just blindly send the call somewhere else, you could click on this little icon here. If you wanted to do a supervised or a warm transfer, you could click on this little phone icon with the word bubble in between them. That is going to allow you to talk to your colleague first, and then you would get another icon to push the call through. And then here is going to be a call parking button as well. For those at the police department, they are going to get a little red button where they can start or stop their call recording. It would be start recording, as they do not currently have it enabled. Now, if you want to do a transfer inside of here, you don't necessarily need to use these icons up here. You could scroll down below and you could find the person you want to transfer to and hover over their name and then choose the option to do a blind or a supervised transfer with that person. Or if they're not in this list below, go over to your contacts tab, right? And then you could hover over the contact and you could click on the blind or supervised transfer. These same icons here, these are going to be what show up on your cell phone or your tablet. So when you make a call, similar to on a cell phone itself, it goes from being the dial pad, all of a sudden then you have the other icons where you can control your active call. You can mute it, you can put it on speakerphone, you can go back to the dial pad. So these are going to be those icons during an active call. So I know that's a quick rundown here. Are there any questions regarding the outbound call control when you dial or the active call control? All right, good deal. I'm going to go ahead and hang up there. If it's enabled from the administrative perspective, you could put in a cell phone number here, and when you click on this little green word bubble, you could send a text message to the outside world. So if I click on that little green word bubble, and if I try to send a message, it'll tell me that I cannot send that. Do not have this set up on my demo account, but you will see that it comes from my work number. So when they text this back to this work number, it would show up in this Streams portal. That is a 1-to-1 ratio. You have to have a direct number for your individual. There is no group SMS. And I'm kind of talking to Floyd and Ryan here a little bit on that point. The next icon over here, again, is that dial pad, and then do not disturb. When this is lit up red, do not disturb is enabled for this device. So if I have a tablet, a smartphone, and a computer, and a desk phone, I put do not disturb on my computer. That is the only device it's impacting. My smartphone, my tablet, and my desk phone are still going to ring. You're going to have a little call forwarding button here. As of now, I would recommend staying away from this. This will be circumstantial depending on what is needed by your department and by your user. And this is where we can send the call to different places. Like if you were out, we could send it to voicemail. If we set up the basic call forward, it is not currently set up, we can send the call elsewhere if you were out sick. So I would recommend leaving this set to daily as what it should be set by default for now. The next thing here is your voicemails, this little red scroll icon. When it turns red, you have a voicemail in your mailbox. When you click on that voicemail icon here, it's going to open up into a new window, and you're actually going to get a visual representation of your voicemails. So who left your voicemail? What date and time was it left, and how long is the voicemail? If you check this box on the left-hand side, you can hover over actions. You could play that through your computer speakers. You could download it and save it to like a customer folder or somewhere on your system, on your computer there. And then you could delete it from our system. Remember, you're signed in with your extension, with your user. So when you delete these voicemails from Streams, they are being deleted from the phone. So you would no longer have a red flashing light on the phone if you deleted them from here. If you delete them from the phone, you're deleting them from this area as well. So again, it is all tied to your user, which is your extension. So again, that's kind of my rundown on the phone features of this so far. I'm going to move on to some of the instant messaging stuff. Are there any questions on the phone portion of this before I move away from that? The other point, I guess, before I move away is if you hover over down here when you're not on an active call and you wanted to call reception, you could click on the green phone button. It would say, hey, where do you want to call reception from? Your software phone, your desk phone, or a landline?
I have a question.
Sure.
If I have a voicemail that's really intended for somebody else, is there a way that I can transfer that voicemail to another user station?
Yes, but one of the easiest ways, to be honest, is just to send that email. Because remember, we take a copy of the voicemail and we email it to you as a WAV file. So just forward that email and make sure that the WAV file is attached to the appropriate person is going to be one of the easiest ways.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, so good. I'm always glad there are some when there are some questions. I'm always worried when there isn't any with this large of a group. So there is no stupid question. Just let me know if you want me to circle back to any of this. And reminder, you may be on mute, so just interrupt me if I move on too quick. The next point about this is going to be, the instant messaging features that are baked in here. The instant messaging, I'm sorry? Do you have a question there by chance? Officer Hunt, I'm going to mute you here. I will unmute next time if you can hover over yourself and mute yourself as well. Getting some feedback there. All right. The next thing is this instant messaging, and the first point of this is this status message. If you set this out to lunch, this is not impacting your phone calls at all. So again, it does not impact your calls. This is only telling your colleagues you're out to lunch or you've stepped out through this instant messenger. Right? Again, the call flow is all based off of your forwarding plan up here in the top right. So again, this is only for instant messaging purposes. The next icons down here below are going to be where you control the body of the page and really what you're looking at here. The first icon again is this Recents tab, whereby you're going to have these other filters below. So you have your recent calls. So who have you called? If you wanted to hover over that number, you could click to redial them. If you find someone that is part of your stream system, so part of the city of Farmington inside of here, you're going to see the ability to do a call, and you're also going to see the connect function. So again, you could then do a connect on a 1-to-1 ratio. So reception, hey, I want to share my desk with you, and then you could start that session. You're going to have your recent messages. So this would be where you would see any of the messages or files you've shared with each other in the past. So here we have reception. Again, when you hover over, you have the ability to do the connect or the call. When you click on that user, it's going to highlight them and it's going to show you who you're talking to on the right. So I've selected reception as who I'm talking to. Their extension is 7000. They don't have a cell phone in the system, but they do have a direct number. In the body of the page is where you're going to see your messages back and forth. So you could say, hello, I need help today. At that point, they could like it, they could comment, they could reply, they could pin this comment, and then over here on the right, you would see any files you've shared or pinned. So that, again, that is the Recent Messages tab, and this is where you would see anybody you've talked to in the past. Are there any questions over the recent calls, recent messages, or the status message before I move on?
So I may be premature on this, but if I have somebody in my recent call that I want to add to my contact list, can I do it from my recent call list?
You will actually have to manually enter the details, unfortunately, as of today.
Okay.
So you take the details, and then I will show you how to create a contact over here, or you can import them as well.
Thanks.
Yep. Something here. Get rid of that before I jump over. Okay. So Again, we have our recent messages, recent calls. We have our voicemails. This is more of an at a glance. I use this scroll up here in the other window because you can delete them and you can really manage your voicemails a little bit more. This area, again, is more you can play it and you can download it in the forefront here, but you can't remove it from the system. Again, digital fax, you guys are not set up with this as of today, but it is something that you guys could do in the future if that comes to fruition. What happens here is, here's my real streams, here's my personal fax profile. If I wanted to send a fax, I would use this little green plus sign, and I could type in the number and upload a file. If I wanted to see my faxes, I would have to check on the left-hand side here, and then I could see anything sent or received in the past. Just food for thought there. The next thing here is the contact list. So by default, if you sign into here under company contacts and you're the only one signed in, you're going to only see yourself, right? So by default, you're only showing the online contacts. Again, this is where you click on the green phone button, you can click on the user, and you could send a message back and forth. If you wanted to see everybody that's at the city of Farmington, you could go to this little up and down arrow and you could say all contacts, and then you would see them if they're online or offline. You can also put their extensions next to their names. You may not want to do that if you guys have quite a few more people than I have in my demo account here. So if you left it at online contacts only, you can still search for reception as an example, right? And then it'll search, and then it'll show that user. Additionally, if reception is on the phone, it's going to show that. So the status automatically does change. I'm going to get a bunch of feedback here. So you'll see user A is on the phone with a little red icon here. That indicates that they're signed into Streams and on the phone. The opaque or the gray icon here indicates that reception is on the phone but not signed into Streams. Any questions on the company contacts before I move on to the teams, and then I will get to the other and the imported area here eventually. All right. So the teams area by default, the entire city, the entire phone system, everybody inside of it has this chat room. It's one giant chat room for everybody. We can disable this. So Ryan and Floyd, just if we want to disable it, we can. Additionally, you can create your own custom team. So that's this little plus sign up here in the top left. You create a team. And then again, let's say you are a support manager. You want this to be a chat room where you guys can bounce ideas off of each other. So you create a private team where you as the admin can invite people, right? Maybe you're a sales manager. So you create a sales team and you just want to broadcast your quotas every Monday on where you are for the month. So at that point you would create a display team where you would be the only one that could broadcast messages. A company team would be searchable by anyone in your company, and a temporary team would be temporary. It would dissolve itself after the fact. You would choose who you want to join over here on the right, and then you would create the team. Are there any questions on the teams before I move on? We have other streams contacts. So you could add like myself, or let's say you found a company there in Farmington that also has Pantera that you guys do a lot of business with. Maybe it's a contractor for construction or something, roadworks, right? Then at that point you could add them through our service. So you would add them and then you could use all of our Connect and all of the same features with that customer. Imported contacts, so you can create contacts one at a time. So this is where I was saying you would just have to grab that person's number and information and you would simply add a contact. You'd put in their first name, their last name, email, and phone number. If you can also import contacts. So if you as an individual import contact list into your streams, it is only going to show up for yourself. If the administrators import a contact list, it would be global and it would show up for everybody. Kind of the same thing here. When you add a contact individually, it's only going to show up for yourself. You can import contacts through Yahoo, Google, Excel or CSV, or Outlook. Microsoft Outlook, Google, Yahoo, or a CSV document. Are there any I know that's a quick rundown here. Are there any questions regarding any of these contacts areas? The next thing here is the customer support. So we still want you to work with myself and the onboarding team here until we get the numbers ported. And then at that point, we'll give it a week or so and we'll sign off on the onboarding process. Once we've signed off on the onboarding process, then we will start to defer your issues and your questions to our 24/7 support team. You can call them, you can email them, and then you do have the ability to instant message them as well inside of here. Moving on here to the SmartBox folder. Again, each of you gets 2 gigs of storage. You have the ability to upload documents through here. You can go to unlimited storage. So if you, I think it's $3.95 per month per person, you could start using this in an unlimited capacity and have our platform be your cloud storage. However, with the 2 gigs, more than likely you'll just be clicking on the upload. You'll select the files you want to upload, and then at that point they will show up inside of the system. At that point you can click on them and you could see that file internally on our service. You can hover over this and you can click on the 3 little dots, and this is where you would say share. So say this was a video file, again too large to email, you would create this link with some password protection if needed, and then at that point you could email that link to someone and they could download it. If you're sharing a document internally with the city of Farmington, you could then choose the people down here below that you want to add. Again, I know that that is a quick rundown, especially for what that can be used to do, the cloud storage. Are there any immediate questions or anything you want me to go over on this part? The next thing here is going to be the Connect tab. When you sign into this Connect tab, sorry guys. You're going to see to create a session, click on the plus sign. Right? So it's telling you that up here in the top left, you need to click on this little plus sign to create a session. At that point, you can add this to your streams, or you could add it to your Google or Outlook calendar. I usually leave it inside of streams. You can make this be for any time, or you could schedule it. You could allow users to join without a moderator. You can set up a waiting room so they can talk to each other while they're waiting for you to join as the moderator. And then you have a passcode and multi-factor authentication if needed. Most of the time, I leave all of, or like today, right? I usually join about 5 minutes ahead of time so that I can greet everybody that joins in. So I leave most of this stuff disabled, especially when you get 30 people joining. You don't need them to jump through all of these extra hoops and take up more time than is needed. Some industries require that, federal government employees and different stuff like that. So we do have to allow these features. You can be the moderator and you can initiate it. You can allow the users to initiate the session. You can schedule, or you can set up your medium types. So do you want this to be a screen share and an audio bridge, or maybe it's just a video call? Up here at the top, we could name it. So let's say video call. And then you could schedule it. Maybe you want this to happen, every week on Thursday. And we're going to do that every week until the end of time, no end date. And we would apply those settings. So basically, we've just scheduled it, and we've chosen our mediums, and then any authentication. At that point, you can tell the system what participant roles you want. You can limit those participation roles. And then here is going to be the URL or the link that you send out to everybody. Up here in the top right is where you would invite individuals. Make them a speaker. You can make them audience or custom. Again, you are defining information up here, down here. And then again, you send out this link. This link is going to be how they join the session. If the person does not have a computer, so again, kind of speaking to Ryan and Floyd here, we can designate a phone number. This is not set up by default, so at an administrative perspective, if we designate a phone number for Connect Audio Bridge feature, then everybody will see the same phone number listed in their system. The passcode is going to be the 10-digit number that's part of the link. So if you were to save this, go ahead and save. Now we have the video call. We could create a whole nother session, right? We could schedule this. Maybe this one needs to be a screen share and an audio bridge, kind of like what we're on today. We want this to reoccur monthly or weekly, on Fridays instead. We would apply that, and then you can see it's the same number, but the ID on the link is different. So we would name this one Share Desk and Audio Bridge. We would save this. And then now on the left, you can see when I click on these, I'm starting the session for the particular one that I have highlighted. On the right is the link if I needed to copy it on the fly and send it to someone to join the session. So again, I know that is definitely a quick rundown as well for all of the features that this can do. Hopefully it just gives you a stepping stone and a place to start and to play with it. Are there any immediate questions on the Connect features here?
Hey, Austin, I think designating a phone number for Audio Bridge wouldn't be a bad idea.
Okay. And I think that we probably wait until your numbers port, in my mind, right, so that it's an actual number that is in your appropriate area code and rate center.
Okay.
I had a question, but it was about the previous part where all the contacts were.
Yep, sure.
I was just able to actually get logged in here. Is there any way to where when we click on, like, say, the Teams portion, so like if I want to click on, like ours right now, City Hall, and we need to call, right now you have to go completely across the screen to click. Is there any way that we can call directly, like that list will pull down from right there instead of across the other side?
Unfortunately not. Yeah, unfortunately not. It's going to break those out. The other thing I guess you can do is there is another layout here where if you click this little arrow, it's going to drop that panel down on the right-hand side. No, that's not going to be efficient. One moment here.
Phone training, but sure. Yeah, I don't use that much of it anyway.
Hey, Paula, your mic's on.
Yeah, sorry. So it is going to require this details field over on the right-hand side for you to be able to see the users.
Okay.
I always use this view.
I just didn't know if there was a way to customize it.
See, and I was hoping that what happens here is when you collapse this or expand that left-hand panel, then at that point, once you start getting your company contacts, you'll see all of them listed across the board like a book from left to right, and then it'll have another row. I was hoping that it would kind of do the same thing with this colleagues team, but it appears when you click on the colleagues, or any team for that matter, it brings this default menu back up.
Okay.
Good questions. Any other points? Anything you want me to circle back to? I mean, we do have some time left here. That's the majority of my cookie cutter training. I'm going to touch a little bit on this little hamburger 3 lines button up here in the top right and some of these fields. But as far as the body of the page and what you're going to be doing inside of here, that is kind of my cookie cutter training for each one of these tabs. And I did promise that I would, oh, shoot guys, sorry. Unmute. I opened my Streams app. Okay. Okay. So the next thing to move on to is up here in the top right-hand corner. You do have the ability to log out. And the point I want to make on this is that, let's say if you're using your cell phone or your tablet as your smartphone, if you just force close that application, the Streams application, it's still going to ring if you have it set up to ring for inbound calls. So when the call comes in, it's going to ring in, it's going to pop open our application, and it's going to tell you it's a Streams call. If you do not want it to ring anymore, one of the easiest ways is to go into your settings on your application and actually log yourself out of the application on your cell phone or your tablet. That's going to log you out, and it's no longer going to send the call there. The help documents. So most of these I've sent to Ryan and Floyd, except for like the Connect help. So that would be for our Share Desk audio bridging, the Connect features. But like the Streams help, the Streams quick start guide, your voicemail, and your Yay link guides, I already did send over. The logs and reports, so reminder, you're signed in with your extension, with your user. So when you go into your logs and reports here, these are going to be your calls. So again, if you are back here on the recents and the calls area, you only see about 20, 25 calls that you've made in the past. So if you needed to go to the past 6 months worth of calls, you could come inside of here and you could see those call logs. We have our devices. So this would show what devices you have connected to our service. I have a Polycom phone. I am signed into my soft phone with Chrome. And then you could always kick yourself out, so you can force log out if needed. We have downloads. So this is where you could install some of our extra little add-ons. One of those is this Streams product we're talking about here today. We have it for Windows or for a Mac. We have it for Android and iOS. And then we have a click-to-call extension. I don't know how valuable this will be, but I just want to show it to you real quick. This way, bear with me. Okay, so here's Google Chrome. What that little add-on does is it creates this little Pantera P up in the top right-hand corner. You have to put in your Pantera credentials. Once you sign in, you have to tell the system, do you want to call from your soft phone all the time? Do you want to call from your desk phone? Do you want to call from a landline? I like it to ask me because I don't really know what device I ever want to call from. It's always depending if I'm at my desk or working remotely or what I need to do there. So I'm going to save this. Now, when you do a Google search, and again, this is a Google Chrome add-on, so it only works in Google Chrome. If I could type. Mediacom support phone number. Give it a moment to load here. Once it loads, this becomes a hyperlink and has a P next to it. This number becomes a hyperlink. This number down here. Right? So all of these numbers are clickable. I can click this number, and it would say, where do you want to call this number from? Your software phone, your desk phone, or your landline? Are there any questions on that little add-on before I move on? Okay. We have an Outlook plugin, so if you're using Microsoft Outlook, that may be a benefit for you. And then we have a soft phone only. So if you didn't want all this extra instant messaging, file sharing, and all that stuff, you could install a soft phone only version of this Streams. We then have our settings. So again, at the very beginning of this, I said use your forgot password link if you want to reset your password via email and jump through those hoops. Or in your personal settings in the background here, you have the ability to drop down your personal user information for your extension, and you can hover over these values like your voicemail password. When the pencil appears, you can click and it becomes an editable field. The stream's password is just the password. You do not need to worry about the phone password. So the stream's password here, hover over these asterisks and just click. At that point, you'll need to put in your current welcome one exclamation point and then the new password that you want. Once you can see, you can edit multiple things at a time here. At that point, when you're done, if anyone remembers what a floppy disk is, you click on that up here to save. All right. You'll see there's multiple settings inside of here. There's all kinds of stuff that you can manipulate. Again, we do recommend kind of being leery of what you change inside of here until you're aware of what impact it is going to have on you. So I would defer to Floyd and Ryan, and then they can work with us to determine what the settings are going to do if they are needed. One of the items inside of here is like your voicemail. Maybe you don't like those voicemails via email, so you could drop down your voicemail field. You could disable the ability to route it to your email. So again, you hover over the value and click when the pencil appears. You set it to disable, and then you would save. If you wanted to record your voicemail greeting through your computer microphone, if you have one, you could come inside of here. You could click on the default option or whatever it says there, and then you could click to upload your greeting. You could put in your phone number and make the system call you. You could use your computer microphone, or you could upload if you had a file ready to go. So that is a quick rundown for all of the settings that are inside of here. There's a lot to it. Again, it just depends on what your day-to-day workflow is and what your needs are. Are there any questions regarding anything that we've went over so far that you want me to circle back to? Ryan or Floyd, anything I missed or that you want to bring up to add on? Or?
No, I think from our end, I think that's pretty good.
Okay. All right. So yeah, this is live. You can sign into it. You can play with it. I recommend calling each other first so that you kind of get an idea before you put it into full play with a customer, and then just go from there. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for your time and your efforts here. We will have another one of these trainings early next week, and there should be a recording posted eventually for these trainings, whichever one is best at that point.
I do want to say real quick, if you do want to use your cell phone app as as a device to call from, email me and I will set that up, because once you log in, I got to set it up on the back end. That's right. That's right, Austin? For
inbound calls. They can dial out at any time, but if they want their inbound calls to ring on the soft phone, we need to have it added to their plan.
Okay. So just email me if you want that to happen.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone, for your time. Again, I know that it's kind of droll sitting here and listening to me, but hopefully it's a necessary evil and it helped you out, and let us know if you have any issues or questions.
Real quick, Floyd's mic wasn't working.